Hey everyone, thanks for checking out the second episode of my podcast. Today I have a really awesome guest. His name is Max Eberhardt. He used to be a professional snowboarder traveling around the world for big air events and slopestyle contests. He actually rode on the Canadian national team alongside people like Mark McMorris. About a year ago, he was actually forced to walk away from his snowboard career due to numerous concussions. Since then, he ended up in Toronto, and he's actually been producing music with a lot of different musicians, including Roy Woods and Drake. Here comes the episode, and I hope you enjoy. All right, yeah, Max, thanks for coming and chatting today.
Oh yeah, stoked to be here.
I've actually been really looking forward to having this conversation with you because a lot of the people who I'm inviting to be part of the podcast, they're doing really cool things, and that's why I'm inviting them. But you have a really big past in snowboarding, and that was kind of a huge part of my life. So I don't really get to chat with many people like that.
Yeah, border life.
Yeah, so it's
a good life.
Exactly. I miss it. I know you probably do.
Oh yeah.
Even more than I do. I still board a lot, but
yeah. You've been riding Louis and shit?
Yeah. I just been boarding around Ontario a lot. It's just for fun now. I went in my first contest that I've gone in years this
really?
year.
And Which one?
I went in Frozen Rail Jam at Blue Mountain.
What? They're still doing that one?
Yeah.
Crazy.
I actually think they brought it back from I think it was gone for a few years.
Yeah, I remember they got rid of it for a while.
Yeah.
Even when I used to do it, I remember one year they just stopped doing it. So they must have just brought it back.
Yeah, I think they brought it back. And it was such a fun setup and put the pressure on me a bit, which was pretty fun. Yeah. I really missed that.
That's dope.
Okay, I guess I'll let you introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Max. I like boarding. I like making music. That's pretty much it. I like skating. I don't really know how to introduce myself, to be honest.
No, fair enough, man. Fair. I had this...
I don't know how to sum myself up, so...
No, fair enough.
I'm a person.
Yeah, you're a guy who does stuff.
Yeah, I'm a guy who does stuff. That's the best way to sum it up.
A lot of different stuff. Yeah, so basically, I had this story kind of pictured in my mind that I would just say to introduce you. So I remember years ago at Down Low, Quicksilver Down Low at Mount St. Louis Moonstone. For everyone who hasn't heard of that before, it's an invite-only snowboard contest, and basically they take all the snow that's left at the end of the season and make the biggest features they can possibly build on an Ontario hill, because obviously there's some limitations there. But I remember they built a bunch of different rails and different jumps and whatnot, and they had this one massive jump. And I looked at it, and I was pretty much immediately there's no way I'm hitting that, not a chance. And I just sat there with my buddy who was making the video, and I don't know if it was first hit or not, but you just rolled up and did a double cork. Was it a triple cork? Or was it a double?
No, it was double.
Okay.
Triples weren't really happening back then.
Yeah.
I don't even think they...
yeah, you're right. I don't think they were.
I don't think they were a thing at that time.
And that was
doubles were like triples back then.
Yeah, exactly. And I think everyone there was kind of what just happened? That was the first double cork that ever happened in Ontario, right? Wasn't it?
I think that was the first one I ever tried.
Yeah, and you landed it first try, right?
I butt checked, I think. But it was I never stomped it that day, but I got close.
Oh man, yeah. You were super close though. I remember that actually.
Yeah, I just put a hand down and butt cheek maybe.
Yeah, and then I was
hyped.
Yeah, I mean, and I think everyone was too, because at the time it was only giant pros doing that, and then you just did it there. And I think Craig did one there too.
Yeah, people were chucking.
Yeah,
that was a fun event. I wish they still did that.
I know it's so unfortunate that one's gone.
Yeah, they should bring that one back.
And then after that, I guess I didn't really see you around after that. I might have seen you at a couple contests the next year in Ontario, and then suddenly you just had a bunch of sponsors supporting you, and you were traveling all over the place and placing in big air contests in Germany and a bunch of different places around the world. And then that was at least a few years, right? Probably 4 years long, maybe. Yeah, and then
technically for
4 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and then suddenly I just didn't see much of you on your Instagram or even in the snowboard world and the snowboard news. I didn't really hear your name often anymore, and I guess I didn't really think anything of it because I was kind of starting to follow snowboarding less and less anyways. But, and then it wasn't until a few weeks ago, I was just walking down the street, just walking home down Ossington in Toronto, and I stopped in at the Burton store because our mutual friend Tim was working there. I saw him in the window. And
did you know he worked there, or you just randomly saw him in the window?
I think I saw him make a post about an event that was happening there. No, actually, yeah, I chatted with him. I chatted with him a few weeks before.
Got it.
And, yeah, and then I just walked in there and we were just kind of shooting the shit and talking about stuff. And he was like, "Hey, did you see what Max's thing, his new thing?" And I was like, "Max who?" And he was like, "Max Eberhardt." I was like, no. And he was like, yeah, he's been in Toronto, like producing music with a lot of different big names. And he produced Can't Take a Joke on Drake's new album. And I was like, what? What is going on here? And then I just left and came home, and a few weeks later I did my first podcast, and that worked out pretty well. So I've just been kind of debating who I should interview. And as soon as I started thinking, I was like, oh, I should totally have Max on here, because that's such an interesting story, just going from like a pro snowboarder who's doing well and competing well and having good results. And then probably only a year later, like it was only about a year, right? And you're like, suddenly you have you're a producer who's making music for one of the biggest musicians in the world. So it's just a crazy story, you know? And I just thought it'd be an awesome time to have you on here, and you can walk me through the story a bit.
No, I appreciate it. It probably looks pretty random to a lot of people, because I didn't really like document a whole lot of the transition, but it's been like a journey for sure. Just basically, yeah, like, I don't know, just kind of floating, trying to figure out what to do next after boarding.
Yeah, fair enough, eh? Like, I know I never boarded at the extent that you did at all, but I guess I had a moderate amount of success. And when I had to stop boarding or stop competing because I had an injury, I was like super depressed.
And the hardest part, emotionally dealing with it is like the biggest task.
Yeah, it really is. And I think I just didn't find a good thing to get into right away. It sounds like you had like another thing going that you got occupied with like pretty quickly.
Yeah,
which is awesome.
It was kind of premeditated, but like I wasn't like hoping that it would happen that quick. Like I wasn't. It's not that I wasn't hoping that it would like be successful that quick, but I wasn't like expecting to have to switch over that fast. Like it all kind of came about in the last season of boarding. I was just like, just too many injuries, had a couple concussions, and then it was mainly the concussions that made me switch, because it's just like too risky to mess with that, because you don't really know like what's going to happen down the road. It's kind of a crapshoot for anybody getting concussions. It's like you kind of just got to stay in tune with yourself and like feel how you're feeling, and it just wasn't feeling right for me at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was just feeling like it was a bit, like, I don't know, like there was just no evidence. Like I would get a concussion and then like pass like a test that was like supposed to like diagnose me in terms of my progress.
Yeah. So
I would like do well on it, but I would still be feeling weird. So I was like, okay, this is weird. If they're telling me I'm good, but I'm not feeling right, like who should I believe? Like, should I believe like the way I'm feeling, like your instinct, or should I believe like a doctor that's telling me I'm good to go?
Yeah.
So it kind of came down to that at the end of the day, and then I just had to like stop.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, brain injuries, that's one thing that, I mean, obviously there's a lot of sports where brain injuries are becoming a really big issue. Like football's huge, hockey's huge, but it's such an unspoken topic in snowboarding.
Mm-hmm.
Because I guess you were more like slope style, big mountain type of stuff, like slope style, big jumps.
Yeah.
So helmets are pretty standard, like people wear them.
Yeah.
But there's such a culture in snowboarding that helmets are just, people don't want to wear them.
Yeah.
And
it's like at the end of the day, I don't even know, like helmets are good. Like you should wear a helmet, I think, if you're doing gnarly shit. But it's like, I don't know how much they do when you're hitting your head that hard. And like, I didn't have that many like serious concussions. It was a couple like minor ones that just added up. But like when you're going fast and like hitting, like if you're in slush, for example, like I don't know how, like what's worse, hitting your head off slush or hitting your head with a helmet off slush. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Like that's a debate that I've heard like some boarders discuss. Because like if you hit your head off slush with a helmet on, then you have like another layer of like plastic and foam between your head and the slush.
Yeah.
But if you hit your head off a rail, like obviously it's probably better to have a helmet on.
Yeah, in the big picture, probably.
So I don't know. I think it's obviously better to just wear one.
Oh, for sure.
But
play it safe.
But like it's like they don't prevent concussions. They help prevent like brain damage and like fractured skulls and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. I remember at Camp of Champions one summer in Whistler. This is pretty much when my jump game in snowboarding just started going downhill big time. Like I was starting to progress in that area pretty well, I would say. And then I like went off a big jump in Whistler and just like cracked my helmet in half. It just like snapped in half, and I broke my arm in a few different places.
Oh my God.
And after that, I was just afraid for it was the second jump in the line out of 3, but it was a while ago. Man, it was probably like 7 years ago now, like a long time ago. But I didn't even get a concussion, and I never felt weird or anything after. But my helmet snapped in half, and the doctor was like, "Man, you have no idea how lucky you are hitting your head and that helmet just cracking it. If that helmet didn't crack, it probably would have hurt you.
You would have got a concussion for sure.
Yeah, it's like so weird.
So yeah, having a helmet definitely does work.
Like,
But
do you know Cody Williams?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you've probably heard about the whole thing that he went
I heard
through.
his story. That's insane.
His is wild because it reminds me just the same as that Netflix documentary Crash Reel with the guy who was rivaling Shaun White. I forget his name.
Oh, Kevin Pierce.
Kevin Pierce. Yeah. It reminds me just of that because he ended up in a coma.
Yeah.
And he was out for a long time, and nobody even knew if he was going to survive. And
yeah, I remember that. That was scary.
yeah, and he's like actually a really good buddy of mine. I grew up snowboarding with him in London, and now he's totally bounced back. Like, well, I shouldn't even say that. Like, he has made posts and he's told me even before, he's like, it seems like I've bounced back, but there's a lot of things I'm still dealing with. And I think he does have a lot of things, but as far as what could have happened, like, he's a normal guy, like walking around. He still gets to hang out with his friends, and he's the same Cody that we all kind of knew before. And it's like such an amazing recovery.
Yeah.
But
I think it's hard for a lot of people to appreciate like what you go through, like with post-concussion syndrome and stuff like that and symptoms. Like, it's hard to like really understand, like, it's not a linear recovery. Like, you'll see someone doing well and like it's been a year. So you expect that they're just like recovered, but like for everyone it's different. You have like ups and downs. Like, some days you're feeling good, some days you're like feeling like just overwhelmed and overstimulated. Yeah, I mean, from the outside looking in, things can seem pretty great, but you could be dealing with some shit still if you've had concussions. Yeah.
I get that. I think like brain injuries are so misunderstood right now, which, I mean, except for people who have them or know people close to them who have them. Like, I think I was really woken up to it when it happened to Cody, and I was like, holy crap, man.
Yeah.
But I wore a helmet snowboarding anyways. Well, in Ontario, you have to wear helmets in any good park anyway,
Yeah.
so it's just kind of become a habit.
True.
It's like, I don't want to, it just becomes a comfort factor too. You don't want to take it off because you're so used to it.
Yeah.
Except for when it's like summer and you're, like springboarding in Whistler or something. It's like hard to wear a helmet because it's like roasting hot out.
Yeah. You're just dying of sweat.
Yeah. So like, as far as your snowboard career went, like, how do you think you launched so far into snowboarding? Because I know like you were just doing really well. You were getting paid by different sponsors, and like you were sponsored by Yonex, which I always thought was super random, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, it's like a Japanese tennis racket company, but
yeah, no, they make sick boards.
yeah, they were good boards.
No,
eh?
they're actually sick.
Well, I figured they must be pretty good.
Yeah, like I wouldn't ride something if I didn't like it.
Yeah,
Like, I'm pretty like, I don't know. And at the same time, it's like it allowed me to keep snowboarding. You know what I mean? I think that at the end of the day, that's the goal. If you can keep like boarding, like I didn't want to have to get like a job
for sure.
to like just to be able to board. I would have if I had to, but I don't know.
For sure.
Yonex was sick. They're very supportive. They're like great people, and they made like sick boards, and they were open to feedback at all times, which was cool. If I didn't like something, I could tell them, and they would tweak the boards for the next batch. Like the first batch they sent me, the first board I rode, I snapped in like 3 days on like a heavy slam, and then I just told them to make it a bit stronger. And from that point, I never broke a board.
Really?
And I used to break boards all the time. I would break any board, like Burton's, like whatever. And then I was like, just make it stronger. I don't know what they did.
That's awesome.
But like, I never snapped a board from that point on for like years.
I guess they kind of have to replace you now that you weren't able to go back, eh?
Yeah.
Or if they want to. I guess it doesn't really work like that in snowboarding necessarily.
They were still like supportive. They were like, yeah, if you want to come back next season, if you're all good, like we'll take you back.
That must have been so much harder too, eh? Like
Yeah.
just hearing that, just knowing that it's kind of waiting there for you.
I was just knowing I could go back, but like it was more serious than that. Like, I don't know. Like being a boarder, there's always like it's such a good lifestyle. You're in your own realm at all times. Like the boarding world is like not reality, but like you can still live and sustain yourself in it, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And it's like you can be so disconnected, but it doesn't really matter at the same time.
Oh,
I can
for sure,
understand
man.
why people would just live in like a mountain town and just like work to be able to shred all year round.
Forever.
Like forever. Like that would be like pretty sick. And then just like camping and hiking and living that lifestyle is pretty amazing. But I feel like for me, like there was always that sense of like, okay, well, I know that I'm not going to be able to make I'm not going to be able to live for the rest of my life off of like what I'm making off boarding. So like there was always that thought in the back of my mind of like, what are you going to do next?
Mm-hmm.
And that was like kind of like why I was premeditating on music. And I thought about going to school and all that as well, but wasn't really that appealing to me, and I didn't really know like what I would go for.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that kind of looms over certain borders. Some don't even think about it probably, but it's
Yeah.
like something worth thinking about. But
I think what comes next is a huge factor. I think the snowboard community is awesome because, I mean, there's the whole concept that a lot of people say where it's like you become kind of like all the people you spend time with a lot. And you just then like you're spending time with people who are just like so happy and passionate about what they do.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, however it is the lifestyle that they live, it's just people who are literally doing exactly what they want.
yeah, no, it's unreal.
And like that whole thing became a huge influence on me, which is why like I'm trying things like this podcast and just trying a few other things. And I feel like a lot of my other friends who snowboarded a lot are doing pretty interesting jobs. Like they turn into videographers or they're working in music now also. And it kind of like puts you down an interesting path for sure. As far as snowboarding goes, like most people who come out of Ontario and do really well come from those training programs like Simple and I can't even remember the other one.
Sure Education.
Sure Education.
Icarus.
Yeah, Icarus.
Yeah.
And
Simple is the Senders now.
yeah,
Is that
Sender Society.
Sender Society.
Like you didn't do anything like that though, did you?
No, I did. I worked with Max and O with Maximize
Oh, okay.
for like a while, but like I didn't do that until I was probably 16 or 17.
That's in like Quebec City or something?
It's in Quebec. It's like close to Tremblant.
Okay.
Yeah. He was located closer to Montreal when I started just doing like trampoline stuff with him. That was super helpful.
Cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was a super like pivotal point for me, like with being able to transition from like I guess like provincial and like national level to international.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know, the way he coaches is like pretty unique.
Cool.
Yeah.
Because he trains like a lot of big boarders. Like I'm pretty sure he trained a bunch of the people who are at the Olympics this year, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. I think I remember them mentioning that.
Yeah.
Does he help you get out to events and sponsors? Like, does he help you with that as well?
He helped me get Yonex.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that was pretty like essential, I think.
Yeah, for sure, man. Like getting the support and people who will like back you up with traveling and whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah, he'll reach out and like use his connections to try to help you get gear, get funding or support or whatever you need.
Yeah.
And his facility is crazy. And he's like just like a super smart guy when it comes to like coaching athletes.
Cool.
He's got a whole system dialed in.
Yeah, so as far as like coming to Toronto and ending up in this city producing music, like how did that whole thing come about for you? Because that's like such a crazy transition from living in California and living in Whistler and snowboarding, and then it's like a year later, I think you said.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, it's like 1 year and you're already like have a lot of things going on.
Yeah, well, I stopped boarding May, like basically Super Park last year, so May 2017, and I was still in Mammoth for my recovery. And then I basically stayed there for a month, just chilled out, recovered, came back to Ontario, stayed at home for a bit, and it was just like trying to figure out what to do next. And I knew that I wanted to like try to push music, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to go to school or if I just wanted to like move to Toronto and just try to do it like the independent route. And I ended up just like, so I want to rewind like a little bit further back, because for like 3 summers prior to stopping boarding, I would come to Toronto in the summer and just work on music. And my friend introduced me to this artist, Trip 6. He was roommates with his brother at the time. And I just told him I'll engineer you anytime for free. Like I was just trying to like, because I looked up to him as an artist. Like I really like his music, and I was a fan just from a listening standpoint. So I was just like stoked if he would come through and let me record him. And I got in touch with him through my friend, and eventually he came through one day, and I just would record him every now and then. He'd come by like once or twice a summer kind of thing. I would only spend like maybe a total of a month there over a summer, like over a few weeks. I would come down for a week, go home, come back for 2 weeks. And then I did that every summer and kind of just built the relationship up. And then, so back to me stopping boarding, I went down to Toronto for the summer, and I was basically just like making music, trying to find a place to live. I was doing Uber Eats for work for like a month, just like ripping around a bike downtown.
Nice.
Like people are crazy with that shit. Like they'll order like a coffee from McDonald's and then you have a coffee in your backpack.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
And they just
man.
like take a coffee cup and they like staple it in like a McDonald's bag and then you have that in like a giant cube on your back.
That's actually hilarious.
There's just like coffee and smoothies and shit sloshing around on your back.
Oh my
It's
God,
crazy.
man.
But yeah, I did that for a while and then I don't know. I just like eventually was like, hey, I'm just gonna go ham with music. And I moved into my spot September 2nd. And then as soon as I moved in, I just hit up Trip 6 and I was like, anytime you want to come record, like come through, I'll engineer you for free. I hadn't even shown him like any of my beats at the time yet. Like he knew I produced, but just for fun. And I was like, I'll just engineer you. Like I never even pushed the beats on him. And then he came through one day, we recorded, and then the next day he's like, yo, I'm gonna bring Roy through. And that's Roy Woods. He's like a pretty big Toronto artist.
Yeah, I've heard of him. I've heard of him for many years now. Like
Yeah.
I know he's a pretty big musician.
Yeah, and I was a fan of his too. He makes sick, like he's just a sick artist. And so he came through like the next day, and like I was just tripping, like trying to stay collected, because I had now like Trip 6 and Roy in my room, and like that day like Roy's team all came through eventually. Everyone was just vibing. My room's tiny. It's like kind of like a prison cell. I call it my cell because I kind of just like lock myself in there. But I had like 10 people in my room probably at one point.
Wow.
And just crammed in, like everyone's like just sitting on my bed, like standing. Had a couple of chairs in there, like packed, but like people were just vibing. And these guys, Trip and Roy, were just vibing to beats. I recorded them on a few, and then eventually Roy told me to play some beats. So I played some, and he hopped on. He ended up getting on one of them. And like just from that point on, shit got crazy. We were just like grinding for the next, like, I don't know, 5-6 months. Like from that point until basically May.
Yeah, just
or
like
April maybe.
I know you were saying before that you guys were just like up all night recording music and producing
Yeah.
beats, and you were just like not sleeping.
Yeah.
And you're
yeah,
like trying to
4.
recover.
I'm still trying to recover from I was like pretty recovered at that time. I thought I was fully recovered. Like I was like good. And then, yeah, we started doing that. So I would be up until like 7 a.m. some nights. And then I'd go to sleep for like 4 to 6 hours, wake up, make some beats. And then the guys would like be like, yo, can we have a session tonight? Come back the next night, do it all over again. We were just doing that like nonstop. And I was just like trying not to lose the opportunity because I knew it was such a crazy window of opportunity that I had.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm not letting this slip. So I was just like, fuck it. I'm just going to do what I have to do. Like I was feeling pretty, like I got used to feeling like trash. I think that's the worst part. Like I would wake up the first couple nights and be like, holy shit. Like I feel hungover and I didn't even drink. And then like
There's no rest at all.
yeah, and then I would like eventually I just got used to feeling like that. I'd wake up and feel fresh and I'd be like ready to go, but that was like I wasn't actually fresh. Like somehow I just got used to feeling terrible all the time. And I did that for like 6 months. And then like October, I got another concussion skating just from falling on my ass. Wasn't even a hard slam. And I honestly think it was just because I was like putting my body and my mind through so much with like the late nights and not sleeping. Like sleep is so important.
It really is, man.
And like I've always been like a sleeper my whole life. Like I'll go to bed at like 9, wake up at like 6 or 5. Like I love waking up early if I can, but I need enough sleep to wake up early. And so I wasn't getting that. I was just like, I threw that out the window. I'm like, that doesn't work with this lifestyle. I'll do whatever I have to do. And I just did that for like months. And then eventually it caught up to me, and now I go to sleep at 10 p.m. again.
Yeah, he switched it back up.
Yeah, I switched it back. But yeah, we did that, and that's how everything kind of came together. I was working with Roy a lot and working with Trip 6 a lot. And I had the chance to send beats to OVO through Roy. And they were hearing some of the work that we were doing. And yeah, I was sending packs while they were working on Scorpion, and eventually that beat they just liked that beat. That ended up being Can't Take a Joke.
Yeah.
That was in the first pack that I sent, I think.
That's crazy, man. And you were saying earlier that like that's a song you weren't even gonna send. It was like an extra or something.
Yeah, it was just a random beat. Like it wasn't even finished. I was just scrounging through like old concepts.
Yeah.
And like I heard that, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then just like put it together. I was like, I'll send that too, I guess.
That's crazy.
Like there might be more that I didn't find. That like I don't know. I have so many, so it's like eventually you have to go back and listen to them all or not.
Yeah.
My process is a bit different now, so that I don't miss those ones as much. But which is always like evolving.
That's wild, man. So at the time when you were sending those to OVO, like, did you know that OVO's intention was that Drake wanted a beat for a song, or were you just sending it to the record label and they were just gonna use it for anyone who was interested?
No, I was like pretty sure they were for Drake because we were sending them to 40, who's Drake's like right hand man basically. He's like his engineer, producer, like he kind of built up OVO with him, as well as Oliver. Like those three like run it, and I was sending beats to 40 and Oliver. So, and I knew they were working on the album because they mentioned that.
Yeah.
So
that's wild.
Yeah.
So yeah, what are you doing with music now? Like any upcoming projects or anything in the horizon that you're excited about?
I've kind of stepped back from the engineering side of things, like recording artists and mixing and all that, just to focus on like producing. So I'm just like locked in my cell, just making beats. I'm just trying to like stockpile and like keep progressing.
Yeah.
And I'm sending beats to artists, trying to get more placements basically. Working with Drip 6 still. Some of the other artists I work with, Drip. Basically just kind of doing what I've been doing. A bit less hectic in terms of like working with artists in person though.
Yeah.
Because for the first like half year, that was all just me working in person with these guys.
Fair enough.
Which was like, it's like the best way to do it. Like if you can be like in person in a studio with the artist, that's like the best way to do it.
That's true.
Because you're going to get things done way, like you send beats to an artist, they have like beats from so many other producers. Like what's going to make yours stand out? Mm-hmm. If you're there working with them, it's like organized that way. You're there, play some beats, and then the energy's there too. Like they're in the studio, they're there to record. Mm-hmm. If they're not in the studio and they're playing beats, they might just like overlook one that could have been the one.
He probably made a good impression. I'm sure he's a talented dude.
Yeah, they can tell where your intentions are.
Yeah.
I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
Like not like trying to like, he wasn't trying to like make a ton of money or like anything like that. He just needed an internship for school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like it happens when you're not trying.
Yeah. It's pretty real, when you're just actually into it.
Yeah, because I wasn't trying to get money. I was just trying to like get a resume or like just work with artists that I aspired to work with.
Yeah.
And it was like an opportunity. Like last summer, my summer goal, like I was like trying to manifest all this shit. Like I was like writing it on my glass and shit, like make a track with like Trip 6. That was my summer goal last summer.
Dude, you were doing law of attraction stuff?
I guess so. I was like writing all over my windows, like in the condo, like writing all this shit. Like I had like guy Sonny Diamonds, he's Roy's engineer. I hadn't met him, but I was like, I fucking need to meet this guy because I heard that he had like touched a lot of talent through Toronto. Like he's worked with like all these artists, all these producers. He just puts artists on. Like he's a super good, like great guy. And then I was like, another one was like make a track with Trip 6. I had never made a track with him, and I was like, I really want to make a track with him. And like wrote all this shit down, and then like before I made a track with Trip, I made a track with Roy. And then like I've made like 100 tracks with Trip now since then because we just work. Like we're just like pretty close now.
Yeah.
And like I'm close with Sonny now. He's like kind of mentoring me. Like that was my goal to like get him to be my mentor, but I didn't know how. You know what I mean? Like I was just like, I was just writing shit down just to like keep it on my mind. But I wasn't like trying to make it happen. I was like just doing what I could do, like taking any opportunity and just like going like with it. Because I was doing the engineering because I was like, if worse comes to worse, I can probably make like rent off of just engineering people, like being like, I'll record you for $30 an hour or whatever.
Yeah.
And like I'm able to stop doing that, which is sick because I hate doing it.
And then you can focus on like bigger creative projects, like actually making beats that are going to be on real radio, like big, well-played songs, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And now I know that like I have more of a resume now, so if I want to go back to engineer just to pay bills if I have to at some point, I can do that. Mm-hmm. Like I know like how to go back and do that if I need to.
Yeah.
But I hate stupid jobs. Like last October I got a job working in the distillery as a busser. Like I was working up to be a server. I quit like the next day.
Yeah. Just not for you.
Like I was like, this is super counterproductive. Like I don't need this money right now.
Yeah.
I could like harness or just put 100%, 110% into like creative output and making music and stuff.
Nice.
But like sometimes not everyone can do that. Like sometimes you're just at zero.
I know.
And you gotta just like do what you gotta do to make money, which is like fine too.
For sure. That's why it's really good to not let yourself get to that point where you're like money is dictating how you're living instead of just you deciding.
Yeah, and if you can save money too, like if you're able to live at home and like do shit like that and save up, like I feel like a lot of people who live at home get comfortable. Like if you could still live with your parents, I'd say you should do it, because like you have way less expenses than if you try to move to somewhere like Toronto. You could just literally, if you're grinding and living at home, you could save cash. Because like I had 20 grand like coming here, and that was able to sustain me for like over a year.
Yeah.
Where I didn't have to work and I could completely focus on something else.
Yeah.
Like you could easily save up 20 grand if you're living at home.
Yeah.
Like I remember the first year I moved to Mammoth after high school, I saved up like 8 grand or something in like 5 months. And like I just lived off of that for like 6 months.
Yeah.
I paid my rent, paid everything. Like people just don't like, not people do, but like some people don't like realize like how like what you can do if you put your mind to it, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Like save, like just be good with your money. Don't buy stupid shit. Don't buy like unnecessary stuff if you're like actually trying to do something. It's funny when I see people who are like, oh, I don't have the money to do that. I wish I could do it. But then they spend money on stupid shit. Like money, managing your finances is something they should teach you more in like high school and school.
Oh, big time, man. Big time.
Yeah.
There's like a few things that really are more important than a lot of the things you learn at school. And it's like learning how to like control it's like the art of thinking clearly. Like
that's hard as fuck.
Super hard. Yeah.
It's like a lifetime skill. Like you have to just constantly be pressing that one.
Yeah. That like emotional intelligence is actually pretty big. Like learning how to like deal with stress and like deal with things, and especially in today's day and age where like all millennials have like anxiety and stuff.
Yeah.
Because everyone does.
Oh yeah, I have anxiety.
Yeah, man, me too. Everyone does. I was talking to someone yesterday and I was like I could guarantee that when my dad was sitting around with his buddies, none of them were like, yeah, we all have anxiety.
Yeah.
That's what millennials do.
I didn't have anxiety when I was a kid. I'm glad that I still remember what it was like not having a cell phone. I still remember like having to go call like on my friends, like go to their house or call them, talk to their parents, ask if they're home,
knock on their door,
or go to them, knock on the door, see if they're there.
Yeah.
And then you'd make plans for the next day, and everyone would show up.
So weird,
you wouldn't even talk to them until you met them at that time.
Crazy, man. Like,
I still remember that, and I think that's like, back then I wasn't anxious.
Oh, dude, I think it's technology and social media and technology, and I think it is.
Yeah.
That's just me.
Oh, I 100% agree.
Yeah.
It has to be. Like, it definitely is.
Yeah. I love that you mentioned, though, that, I love that you mentioned that you wrote down all the things you wanted to do. Because, like, my last podcast was with this girl who is a business coach, and she does mindset coaching also. So she teaches people how to get their online businesses off the ground. And she also teaches them how to master their mindset to, like, be in the right headspace to go after their goals.
Yeah.
Which is, I feel like you might not talk about that, but if you could be a pro snowboarder and then just immediately swap it up and start doing something else you like, you obviously probably have that figured out, even if you don't think about it often.
To some extent, I do think about certain things like that. Like, not like maybe to that extent. Like, I don't know how to break it down like that, but like meditating every day, like, helped me a lot with certain things like that. Like, just reflecting, making notes. I think writing shit down is super important, though. Because, like, how many things do you think of during a day that you're not gonna remember, like, everything you think of throughout the day?
Yeah.
You might think of a gem, just write it down in your notes on your phone.
Dude,
and then you can like reflect on it and be like, whoa, shit, like, I can't believe I thought about that.
Yeah.
You get little nuggets like throughout the day, and if you just don't write them down, like, they're just gone.
They're gone forever.
Yeah. And like, I have this big ass it's not even a whiteboard, it's orange, but it's probably like 8 feet by like a 4 by 8 big plastic board in my room, and I just like, you can just jot anything and it's always in front of you. You wake up and see shit. I still remember that $40 that I paid for Wi-Fi 3 months ago that no one paid me back for. And I'm going to get that money back.
Yeah, you got it, man. Every dollar counts.
Yeah. Well, yeah, just even having little like little sayings or like expressions or
for sure,
like,
man,
words of wisdom, even if they seem corny to other people, like, that shit can help you.
Oh yeah.
Like, I have like shit on my board in my room that people would come in and read it like condescendingly. I'm like, whatever, you can think what you want, but that's helping me. Like, I didn't write it for you. I wrote it for myself.
Yeah.
Like just having little things that like really resonate with you, like keep that shit in front of you because it like kind of keeps you in the same place.
Mm-hmm.
Like mentally, like it's a place that you can kind of harness and come back to. I find
Yeah.
if you're actually like kind of like manifesting through writing or like just premeditating things. Like I don't know, like I never really did it too much. Like with snowboarding, I would visualize tricks, and if I could visualize it, I could probably do it.
Yeah.
But like I never did that with like contests and stuff like that. But since I did it last summer with music, and like a lot of shit happened, like way more than I like expected or planned on, just from visualizing a couple smaller things.
Wow.
Like help the whole plan like come to be more.
Dude, this is the best segue ever. I'm glad I'm recording this right now.
Yeah, good.
Because like she got me. Have you ever heard of the law of attraction? Have you ever like?
I've heard of it. Yeah.
So that whole thing is like, if you're visualizing the things you want to happen, like they're just way more likely to happen to you. And some people think it's complete pseudoscience. Some people think it's huge. I think it's huge because that's what I did with snowboarding. That's what I did with doing what I'm doing now.
Sick.
But this girl, this lady who I had on, Lauren, like she was super into it. And we had this like really good chat about the law of attraction. And I've spent like the last 2 weeks just reading and watching videos about it. And it's all about visualization and stuff. And you're just like a guy who hasn't watched that stuff at all. And you just do it naturally. And it's working. It's like totally worked.
Let's do a lot of podcasts though.
Yeah.
So I get like tidbits and I read books and I do like try to like educate myself. But like I don't retain like what resonates with me. Couldn't like recite to you the laws of attraction, even though I've probably like heard about it. I've heard about it, but like, you know what I mean? I couldn't really summarize it very well. Mm-hmm. But like, I think like just finding like what you can take from it and like trying to actually implement it in your life is like the most important part.
Yeah.
And just like doing something, like making small steps was a big one. Like all this happened just from making small steps.
Yeah. Baby steps, man. Like that was one of the biggest realizations I had in the last like year. Cause I kind of have this vision of where I want to be with like learning all the marketing stuff and all the kind of creative projects. I'm trying to do more and more creative projects. I'm working on some stuff with like a video friend of mine. Mm-hmm. We have some just ideas. And then I'm doing this podcast and I'm just trying to experiment and stuff because I kind of have a vision. And it's literally, it felt so overwhelming for so long until I just started just doing stuff. I was like, all I have to do is do something in the right direction and it'll just like, and now I'm like so much farther ahead. Like I've become a pretty good writer just because of like writing tons of stuff and every little article feels like such a small step, but it's like,
that's dope.
I've come so far from there just because of that.
Yeah. Like, what are you waiting for? It's like,
yeah,
that was one thing for me. It was like, I would like spend time like thinking about shit. Like, I don't know. Do you meditate at all?
I do meditate, but I usually meditate in the sauna at the gym.
Yeah.
Like actually, that's when I usually do it.
That's the same thing though.
Yeah.
But it's just like trying to be like aware of like the voice in your head and like kind of like just disconnecting yourself from it and like not associating yourself with your thoughts or not associating with your thoughts. And like, where am I going with this? Oh yeah. Okay. So I used to like, I'd sit there and like think about like all the shit that I'm supposed to do and like actually get stressed over it. And I'd be like anxious and stressed being like, do all this shit. And then I started like a big, like, I guess a mantra was just like, if you're going to, why are you wasting time thinking about it if you're not going to do it? So I just started being like, hey, if you're going to waste time thinking about it, then just do it. So like, like all these little things, like just procrastinating and stuff like that. I would be like, why am I like actually getting stressed over something when I could just do it and then not be stressed about it anymore?
Yeah.
Or like, don't think about it. Like if you're going to let it stress you out. Like that was a big one, I feel, in terms of making small steps, because that kind of forced me to make all these little, like tiny steps.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, get on top of your procrastination, like just make little steps towards bigger things that you want to do. Mm-hmm. Whether it's just like buying a mic and starting a podcast or like, you know what I mean? Like some people would be like, oh, I don't want to drop that money on a mic. And then they might not do it for like a year or 2 years.
Yeah.
But it's like, not that much money to like do something that you want to do.
For sure, man. The value it's going to bring.
Use it.
Yeah, for sure. I like read an article a few years ago and it was the dude this dude named Mark Manson who had that book that went viral, and it's like The Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
Oh, I've listened to The Art of Not Giving a Fuck on audio.
Okay.
I don't remember much though. I need to listen to it again.
Okay, yeah, I read that book like a few times.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I have the book if you want to borrow the book.
I'll be down.
But yeah, he like had an article and it's just like the do something principle, and it's like, man, just do something. It's like it can literally be anything. If you're sitting around kind of overwhelmed, it's like go and like organize the pile of shoes you have in the front entrance. It's like then you'll just do something else. And I don't know.
True, that's facts.
There's a lot of people who it's like it is so much more simple. Like there's this dude right now who's a huge self-help psychologist guy who the mainstream media is kind of attacking him because he said a few political things, but his whole thing is just about helping people get their lives together.
Who is it?
Jordan Peterson.
Oh, okay.
You probably heard of him, maybe.
Yeah, he's a professor at U of T, right?
Yeah, he's that guy.
Yeah, but like, isn't that kind of like helping him like get his message out too? Like all the people like that are just being like against his views. I think that's brought him a lot of exposure.
Oh, he's become like world famous because of them.
Yeah,
it's
crazy.
Like they're not really. Yeah, it's like funny how that works sometimes. It's like the vegan protesters at that one place in Toronto.
Oh, that
Antler. He's like a world famous restaurant now.
Yeah, I want to go there now.
Same. I want to go really bad.
Let's go.
Yeah, we should. We definitely should. But yeah, and he like taught. I read his book, and his book at the start, it's like just start by making your bed. Because if you're sitting around overwhelmed, it's like just go and do little things that make your life feel like it's more organized.
True. Because
you're not doing things because you feel like your life is chaotic.
No doubt.
If you just do a few things to make your life feel a little more organized, then you can just start doing more things and
it's
whatever.
like a domino effect.
It's like just the baby steps. It's like everyone's just saying the same thing.
Yeah.
But it's so true.
Yeah. I actually have that on my whiteboard. It's kind of corny, but it's like, want to change the world, start by making your bed. It's like the first steps. Like you got to make like, if you wake up and make your bed, like you already did something.
Dude, that's one of his quotes, I think.
Yeah, I didn't make that quote up. Like I saw it somewhere.
Okay, I think that's literally
his
his
I had
quote.
The principle of it in my head, and then I like Googled around and tried to find a quote for it.
Yeah.
But I'd probably read it somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like you see so much shit.
Yeah.
That you're just like.
For sure, man.
You come up with things and then you think you made it up.
For sure. For sure.
Like, no, I didn't.
I know. That's the thing. Like, well, with writing, it's like me writing a lot of these things. Like I read articles about this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Like this kind of describes it a little better than how I explained it last time.
Okay.
When I was telling you what my website is like. It's like me just like analyzing these kinds of strategies and how to like actually live by them. Mm-hmm. But it's like someone told me, it's like, because I used to be like, oh, I'm just like stealing that idea from someone else. And then like I read this other quote and it's like, being creative is just about stealing other people's ideas and putting your own twist on it.
Yeah.
It like kind of is.
Yeah, and then there's that, I think it's a Picasso quote. It's like, good artists copy, great artists steal.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, it's like you it's not like they own that idea. You can still roll with it and just like look at it in your own way.
How are you supposed to progress? Like how is society supposed to progress at anything? Like, you need someone to kind of set the platform and then like, or set the bar, and then like everyone else is kind of like following that up.
Yeah.
But you're going to be copying a little bit, taking influence from other people. Otherwise, like, I don't know. That's where inspiration comes from. Like inspiration doesn't come from nothing. It comes from like doing things, seeing art, seeing like other people succeed. And like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like how are you supposed to, like if no one's copying, like there's probably not going to be, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this.
No, I know what you mean. It's like, it's not like things aren't building on each other to get farther ahead. Yeah. It's just a bunch of people building little things on their own. It's like, there's no like growing of thoughts and everything. Yeah. That's cool. Like this conversation I didn't think was going to turn out this way because I thought, I just didn't think you'd be into this stuff, like more like the writing down your goals and whatnot. But it's like become, the more I talk to people who are like doing good things in their lives and doing cool things, it's like a big thing. Like they focus a lot on like how to make those things happen for them. Mm-hmm. And that's like a skill on its own.
Yeah.
And like, I'm learning that really quickly. Like the last girl I talked to, she was like, the thing with every successful person is they all think the same. She was like, that's the thing that makes them similar. They all have the same thinking. They have successful person thinking. They don't just let things happen to them or whatnot. Like they like really master the way they look at the world. And
I think that can put a lot of stress on you, but it's also like that's like that causes you to be successful at the same time, because like you're so attached to like you're not waiting for something to happen. Like, you know what I mean? Like when something, like when there's pressure on you, like you're fully like 200% in it, like trying to make sure how to not fuck up the situation.
Yeah.
Or like whatever.
Yeah.
Like I don't know.
Man, there's this girl who I was hanging out with this girl a few days ago, and she was talking to me about tarot cards. Like, you know, those cards that you like, they like tell you, I don't really know. I've never gone to a place where they do that, but
I know the name.
Like you flip a card and it has like a reading, and you read that into that and apply it to your own life, and it's supposed to be kind of a fortune thing. And she believes in all that, but she's fully believes in the law of attraction and manifesting and everything. And I was like, I don't know if you've thought about this, but those are the opposites. Yeah. You believe that you create everything. You have the power to create everything in front of you, but you also believe that that card is deciding what's going to happen to you.
Yeah, I don't like that shit.
It's like, I don't believe that at all. Like I totally believe in spirituality. I believe in all of that, but I don't believe that you like pull a card out of a deck and it tells you. If anything, I think that maybe influences the way you look at the future, or like the way you're looking at other things. And I just don't think that's the opposite of manifesting.
Yeah, it could take you down a different path.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you're trying to like counteract like what it told you.
For sure.
Something like that.
Like she gave me some explanation, and I was like, that was a really good response. And I didn't say anything back, but like, I just don't think they're the same. I think they're totally different.
Might work for her.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what?
She has the other mindset already. Like
that's the thing,
might be a tool for her.
Fair enough. That's the thing, right? Like a lot of these things, people are like, it's just placebo effect, man. Yeah. You just think you're in control. And it's like, I don't even care if it is placebo effect. That means it works.
Yeah, it's true.
It's like people get over sicknesses because of placebo effect. Like it worked for them.
Yeah.
Like I don't really care if placebo effect makes me get the lifestyle that I want.
Yeah.
If I get it, I'm going to be pretty happy.
Yeah, no doubt.
Like it's not that, it's not that out there for me.
Yeah. I don't fuck with crystals though.
Yeah, no, none of the crystals.
But I mean, if it works for you, that's cool too. I think like the whole positive energy thing is like good, but like I don't need a crystal to like give positive energy
to get there. Yeah,
or to get it.
Yeah,
I don't know anything about crystals though, so I shouldn't be like shitting on it.
Same. I don't know anything about it, but I go to the gym to give myself positive energy.
Yeah,
you know, like I eat healthy food to do that. I do things like that instead.
True.
And that's what works for me. And I do fun stuff like this because this like. Honestly, like writing articles and like making this stuff is so fun for me now.
No doubt.
Like
writing's something I want to do more too. I suck at writing like sentences.
You suck at it? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Oh.
Right, like I'm not the best at it.
Yeah.
It's like something that I want to get better at.
Such a skill, man. It's just like everything. Yeah. Like I said, like man, I used to go over articles like 30 times before they looked good. And nowadays I'll like, this is like a bad habit, but sometimes I'll just write them and I'll be like, this is good enough. And I'll just post it. And I'll just have to go back like a day later. Like usually a friend is like, man, I found a spelling error in your thing. I'm like, of course there is. So I was overconfident again.
No doubt.
But it's like pretty good, like first try now. And I used to just struggle so much.
Yeah. And you have the control of going and changing it because it's all like released by you, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like you're posting it under somebody else's like website or whatever.
Exactly. And like, I'm not really making money through writing, but I mean, this is kind of relates to what you're doing a bit. It's like I used to submit my articles to other websites. I had a few published on Elephant Journal and Thought Catalog.
Okay.
And I have a few coming out on a couple websites soon, just because I just wanted to try that again. It's been like a few years.
Yeah.
But you like let them post your stuff and then they own it. They literally own the rights to your content.
Oh, really?
And you're not getting paid.
That sucks.
So it's just like, it's like you get exposure.
Yeah.
But man, like they own your article. You can't even post your own article on your own site.
That sucks.
It's like, really? I hate that.
Like in every case, or just certain websites have that policy?
Just certain websites. But most of them, like most of them own it, but some of them you can repost it. Yeah.
It's pretty fucked though.
Yeah. It's like, because writing is just like this like untangible thing where it's like anyone can write. And they know that, so they just like, they own you. They own you. Like,
True.
I'm not trying to make it as a writer. I just think that's a good skill. It like gets the creative juices flowing, relates to everything else that I'm going to be end up doing for work and stuff, and I actually just like it.
Yeah. You can work more ideas out when you actually write them out.
Yeah.
Like you can probably get to the bottom of a thought way better when you actually explore it, like writing it out.
Yeah. That's the best way to describe it.
Hmm.
That's the best way to describe it.
I've been journaling like every day, but I want to get into more like creative writing almost.
Yeah.
Like exploring like a single thought more and like diving into it.
Yeah.
Which seems to be more like what you're doing, like kind of turning it into a whole subject.
Yeah.
Like a single thought into like a subject kind of.
Pretty much, man. That sounds like exactly what I do. And I journal almost every day too. Because it's just good for your head.
True.
Just it's good for your head, man.
I just do it to remember what I did every day.
Yeah. You actually do it for that, eh?
Yeah.
I just do it to like kind of remind myself. It's just like, it's kind of like what you said. You like, you're aware of what you're going for when you're like write it down all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm just like writing down what I'm trying to end up with and
that's awesome.
How I'm trying to approach things.
Yeah.
It's just, it's like the same entry like every day almost. Like it changes only a little bit.
No doubt. That's cool though. Like gratitude journaling is good, I find too. I don't know if you do any of that.
That's in like every day of it.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. Write shit down that you're thankful for or whatever, things that went well during that day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Like that's a big part of it.
Doing the same shit every day, it's easy to like for a week to fly by and like you can't decipher the days. Like, I don't know if you noticed that like working a 9-to-5 job, but like boarding, I feel like you have more like vivid memories because you're doing a little something different every day. You're doing different tricks every day. Like you remember that day more clearly. When I'm just sitting in my room, like on my laptop, like all day, like every day.
Yeah.
Like every day feels the same. So then you look back on the week and like it's literally a blur for me. Like it's insane. So like I'm trying to write down like little things, like just what I did.
Fair enough. I guess you're pretty like isolated in there.
Yeah, I
like,
try to get out of the house more nowadays though.
It's a good idea.
Yeah. Fresh
air helps.
Just go to like Bellwoods or like whatever.
Yeah. Let me know when you're in Bellwoods. Like I'm obviously like right here.
Hell yeah, I go there pretty often. I'll go there with Tim quite a bit.